the classroom will form a single group that will learn together. The new model will allow students who cannot make it to the beginning of the academic year to start the programs as if they were on campus. Similarly, if during the course some students have difficulties in physically accessing the campus, classes will be able to be carried out remotely and live, maintaining the same academic hours, an equivalent educational experience and contact with the rest of the students. All students will also be able to review the classes that will be recorded, as well as attend live classes taught by professors from international partner universities. In addition, the Smart Learning educational model makes our entire ecosystem available to you, so that you can feel the same social relations and can experience the campus, the laboratories, the internships and the integration with research groups and companies. La Salle Ramon Llull University has transformed into a smart campus so that you can study with us, wherever you are. Together, we make it possible.
Hello everybody, I am Josep Piqué. I'm the director of the MBA at La Salle Campus Barcelona, and very happy to be with you, with the students of the MBA, the Executive MBA, with our students of the full-time program, but also we would like to welcome all the MBA students from ESAN, from the ESAN Business School, the University ESAN from Peru. Very happy that we can join this session together. Also adding alumni from our schools and also future students of our MBAs. But this is a master class, and also we are here because we want to listen a top person, a person that has a wonderful knowledge that we want to take advantage, and that's the reason why I would like to invite Daria Tataj to be with us and to join this session in order to talk about innovation entrepreneurship in the framework of the European Union. Also because Daria has really a very interesting curriculum. I invite you, let me tell you, to go to your LinkedIn and to add Daria in your network, because you will see that it will increase your network in more than, I don't know, 20,000 people, a lot of people around the globe. It means that you have only 2 clicks, Daria, and other clicks, more people in your network. But also because network is not just knowing people. Network is doing things with proposals. And Daria can really show to us as new methodologies how to take advantage of in terms of networking thinking. How can we use our networks for doing a proposal? And it's interesting because she was developing a very interesting methodology, and during the masterclass we have the opportunity to listen how she is leading this project and also all her experience in terms of innovation entrepreneurship in Europe. Daria, welcome, and welcome at La Salle, and welcome at this Global Hub.
Thank you, Joseph, very much. I am thrilled to be with you. I left Barcelona, unfortunately, because of the COVID, and I'm in the countryside now. But I hope that I will be able to come back to Barcelona as soon as possible.
You remember, and, you have a house in Barcelona. You have a house in Barcelona. La Salle is your house.
Yeah, to be absolutely. And I'm missing very much, the creative, wonderful, warm, multicultural environment of Barcelona. And I must say that for a number of years, I was teaching in different MBA programs, executive MBA, international MBA. I would say that when I left academia, I decided to endeavor on a number of different experiences. So before I start, let me tell you that I still remember very well what it means to be a student, what it means to be an MBA student, full of ambition, full of anxiety. Really, you will be entering the job market in a difficult moment. This was also my case. So we can talk about the, job entry market strategies if you want.
But also because you were in Michigan, the University of Michigan, and it means that you were also receiving knowledge beyond your boundaries. You are from Poland, but you are a European person, but really a global person. It means that you remember your student approach and how you can really increase your knowledge and network for developing your own professional life. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Daria, let me ask you also your height curriculum. It means I can really read your curriculum, but you can go to the LinkedIn and you can check Daria, all the knowledge and professional experience. But if you want to take advantage of your experience in terms of your curriculum, what do you think that could provide to you the more important thing for your professional life in terms of the big lessons and big important moments? You know that sometimes the life is telling you, wow, this opportunity, or you close a door or open a window. If you can explain to us, because sometimes we believe that the life is a linear life, and sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's a way of doing. And let me ask in a very fresh way, your high curriculum.
Joseph, so if you allow me, I will answer with a story, which is a real life story that happened to me. I was at the MBA. This was an international MBA by London Business School, HEC Paris, NNH Bergen, and Warsaw University of Technology. It was back in 1999, so this was right at the moment when Poland started to get transformed. I'm not sure how much you know about my country, but we were really, very much behind after decades of communism. And today we are we have one of the top educational systems in the world. We have a very vibrant entrepreneurship tech startup ecosystem. We have really not had any crisis. We were growing every year on annual basis for the last 30 years. It's really an exceptional case. But what I want to say that back in 99, this did not look like this at all. And we were preparing a visit of students from New York, from Leonard Stern Business School, done by our professor from Canada. And we were all very excited. The meetings in different companies were set up. We wanted to learn also how this entrepreneurial economy is picking up. And then the day before the students were to come, my professor Bob asked me, Daria, I need to ask you something. I hope you do not mind, but the dean comes with his wife. Would you mind taking care of his wife?
Yeah, it seems that it's a practical way, but...
This was a very practical way, but I was shocked. There were not many women at the time in my cohort. These were mainly engineers, mainly men, because this was the program at the University of Technology. And I thought, I cannot really say no. And the next day, instead of going for the roadshow with my colleagues and with the students from New York, I went to meet Brooke Mahoney. And I'm telling this story because sometimes you're not very happy that you're asked to do something, or that life simply, makes you do something, and you meet a person who is, who's just changing your life. So Brooke was the first woman who graduated from Harvard Business School back in 1967. I think that we all assume that women could go to business schools around the world everywhere, always, but it is not true. And she was really the first one to graduate. Later, she worked on Wall Street, and she kind of pushed my career towards investment banking, venture capital. And she also kind of made me very inspired that women should build their networks. Because men and women honestly have different networks and build different networks in a different way. And it was at a time then I started the first online community of women MBA networking. And I would say that this was really this absolutely unexpected meeting, inspirational, was really what changed my life, pushed me into finance that I found fascinating. And I left after a couple of years towards a very different itinerary. But the thinking of maximizing value of fast growth companies, of investing in technology, this all stayed with me and really made me think in this way when I got into public policy and thinking away from budgets towards investment returns with the societal impact, but still being away from thinking in terms of subsidies towards thinking that governments should be entrepreneurial as well. So my story, sometimes you meet a person.
It's interesting because it looks like the life you can really work hard, but you have to open doors and listen opportunities, and more than that, behind any person you have an opportunity. You never know, and it's like listening you. It's like a match point, no? The idea, in a moment, change your life, no? And also I remember that you had the opportunity to lead I suppose that you will explain during your presentation, the knowledge innovation communities, the European Institute of Technology. I mean, you were leading the creation of this pan-European Institute of Technology, and this is something very, very special. And because it means that you had the opportunity to create from zero a new approach that now is running and is working. But let's listen your presentation, and perhaps we will have a debate, and also if any of the students can really make a message or send to questions, I will give you the questions. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm sharing my presentation. Can you see it well?
Okay, good.
Okay, so I will be sharing lessons from the European Commission, but not the, how should I say, official lessons. I will be telling you from my perspective as someone who has been experimenting for the over last decade, being at the forefront of designing the new institutions, new funding schemes, and really new thinking about how to maximize the taxpayer money. And I will focus specifically on talent and innovation and leadership. So let's get started. I divided the presentation into three kind of sections, and maybe Joseph, we can kind of have a short discussion after each section. So the first is about my lessons from the European Commission. You will see how I'm thinking and how this thinking in certain ways working with other colleagues influenced the new budgets. I will talk about a case study, and Joseph, you were also involved in it in the networking and innovation retreat with the EIT alumni, so this will be one part. Then I would like to tell you about the framework of network intelligence, network IQ skills, and digital leadership. I think it's super interesting now when we're all working and living and educating in a fully digital environment. And finally, the last part will be very practical, will be how to apply a process that I've been working with different companies, universities, governments on developing the purpose network fit strategy. And then if you're still interested about some hints, I can talk about my LinkedIn strategy. So how does this sound, Joseph? Can we go like this?
Wonderful, that's wonderful.
Okay. Super. For a number of years, I was a researcher. And before that, I was a businesswoman. And after that, I became an entrepreneur. This is to say that probably your lives will not be linear because you're the next generation. And you can expect even more volatility, unexpected events, and ruptures in your career. When I look back, it's really very hard to understand any connection between these different phases in my life that kind of led me to be one of the key advisors for the European Commission, the World Economic Forum digital leader. And then, I love communicating, so I'm very much for fostering my ideas through LinkedIn and Twitter. So let's get started. Now, when you think about governments, you think about bureaucracy. This is not true. This is not the way governments should be, and this is not the way we should think about governments. What you see above is Commissioner Carlos Moedas, the European Commissioner for Research, Science and Innovation, and a group of his advisors. What we were talking about, we were really talking about 100 billion euro funding for research and innovation for Europe. Now, when we were designing this new policies, including the new funding for the European Innovation Council, a 10 billion investment fund for deep tech ventures for disruptive innovation in Europe, when we were thinking how to scale up the EIT, so the European Institute of Innovation and Technology communities, when we were thinking about a mission-oriented policy, no one could imagine that just a few months later, something unexpected will happen. When you look at the reports of the World Economic Forum, they are doing fascinating surveys on risks, and top CEOs from all around the world make ranking. What are the risks? What are the disruptive risks that will come and can totally change the landscape? If you look, a few years backwards, no one really put a pandemic at the very first place. It was somewhere down in the bottom. We just could not imagine that within weeks, the whole world can come to a stop. So what happens if suddenly a weak event at the periphery of the world, triggers absolutely what we now know all what it is, a network effect. I've been fascinating with networks for a long time, but what I want to tell you is that all these instruments, all these funding instruments are there, certain governance models. So how to make sure that the money is invested not only in a transparent way, but also to maximize the return. So what do you do when you have the whole system set up? Quite often, when I speak with the CEOs or with innovation strategy directors of large companies, and I talk to them about innovation and talent and future, their response is, we have all processes in place. So in the government, it's not only the processes and strategies, but it's also the whole governance model in place. So when you have a disruption in the outside world, how do you react? With a group of advisors, we help European Commission come up with new policies for people, planet, prosperity. And we're focusing specifically on three aspects: on universities, on value chains for large industry, and then for city ecosystems. So what we say, first of all, you need to protect the most vulnerable. We cannot afford that people, the whole communities, whole regions are left behind. This is unacceptable because it's just not the right thing to do. But from the systems perspective and from the political perspective, this will take away the stability of the system. Social stability is the cornerstone of political stability, and political stability is the cornerstone of business growth and investment. So this is extremely critical that we understand that people matter and we should protect them. In the next stage, what we advise is that really to prepare the system for the next disruption, because they will surely come. We had a systemic global failure in 2008, where Spain was so much hurt by the global recession, firstly financial, then economic. But just a decade later, we have a pandemic. And I think that these unexpected events will be happening, unfortunately, more and more often. And we should prepare our systems for this.
In terms,
that there
Daria,
might be some...
Just for understanding well, what you are explaining to us, it means that we know that we have unpredictable things in the future, and we have to be ready for them for things that we cannot really know. It means that we have to create a system to be resilient and to know how to react and also how to take advantage, because COVID is a bad thing in terms of health, but it's a wonderful thing in terms of digitalization, because we are using more and more digital world than in the past. But it means that the ecosystem has to be ready for any impact in the future, because we know where we have impacts. We don't know what kind of impacts, but we have different kind of impacts.
Absolutely. Let me give you a concrete example. So business strategies were very much focused on cost optimization and global value chains. When this imploded, it turned out that there is such a deep disruption because there was no redundancy built into the system. They were not balanced between offshoring and nearshoring. And I believe that for Europe, this is a great opportunity to rethink the industrial strategy and bring production back to different regions that have the industrial traditions. But let me also give an example on a very personal level of every individual, because this also concerns us. So if you're thinking about how you prepare for the unexpected, for the disruption, for that your job will be gone, that your company will be gone, that you will be made redundant, and believe me, it happened to me not once in my career. Well, what you need to do, you need to invest in your network, because for you, your system, your global value chain is your global value web of the connections of the people you know, whom you trust, and who trust you. So you need to build this in. And I think that studying, during the MBA program, this is absolutely the right moment to do it. So this is how I would explain what I mean when I say that you should prepare for the next shocks. And the last element, if I just may finish this, it's about transforming the system. And it's about transforming the system, as you, Joseph, said, to embrace this opportunity to leapfrog with digitalization. Sometimes people say, hey, I use all these digital tools, we work on Teams all the time. Again, it's not only about using digital tools. It's not only about robots replacing humans. It's really about changing the way we think. Yesterday, I had a board meeting where the State Secretary of Spain for digitalization opened the board meeting, and she said that the digital rights are absolutely critical. And I think that European values in this respect, fostered by the European Commission, should be the lighthouse for the rest of the world, that we should have the right to protect our privacy. We should have a right to be forgotten. We should have the benefit if we share the data. So, and this concerns the individual, but Joseph, as you very well know, it also concerns the data at the level of an ecosystem of a city. So let me move forward, because I mentioned before that I'm fascinated by networks. So when you go to a company, and those of you who said that you're working in a bank or in the finance sector, you have surely an organizational chart. There is a CEO at the top, there are directors, there are different reporting lines, different functions. It's all written on an organizational chart. Now, what you see here is how this organization really looks. This is a network. We live as a network, as a society, we're a network. As a businesses, we're a network. As individuals, we're a network. And this is because we are connected all the time via devices that allow communication. And this, what you see, the dots are different clusters of people. Some of them are closer connected. They know each other much better. They are tightly knit. Some of these people are loosely connected with the world, are loosely coupled. So the way I look at the world, I look that it is a network, and that the flow of resources really makes you become successful or not. So when I look at the system around, about the European Commission, about the global businesses, about entrepreneurial firms, I see, first of all, that we should all innovate. When I say innovation, I do not really mean the new solutions. I really mean learning. And I also mean that the second side to innovation is entrepreneurship. I'm coming from a very entrepreneurial economy, but in many economies, innovation has become big business. And it's not very entrepreneurial at all. So when you think of the biggest names of different companies, they are last name of the entrepreneurs who started them. Can be from Lafarge, the cement company, can be for Louis Vuitton, whom probably you all know well. So on the right, you see a pictogram which presents what is in my book, Innovation, Entrepreneurship, a Growth Model for Europe Beyond the Crisis. I've been doing for over 15 years research on innovation ecosystems in Europe, US, and China. And I came to a conclusion that actually to succeed today's world, you do not need much. You just need a bit of funding, bit of knowledge and talent. And then if you're able to connect different communities and find the right people, if you're able to work across the silos, you can create great firms inside large corporations, inside government, as we created the EIT or EIC, or just out there in the market. Now, how to do it? I would tell you that actually it's not that easy. So 2 years ago, we organized a training, a retreat for EIT alumni. Joseph was one of our mentors, and these were entrepreneurship students, most of them scientists, engineers from all around Europe. And we gave them a challenge to transform post-industrial zone of Barcelona, that is very close to my heart because this is where we have office in Barcelona at the Three Chimeneas. They came up with fantastic ideas. Joseph, I hope you remember. Some wanted to create a carbon neutral village to test new technology. Another wanted to create an artificial intelligence center in the Three Chimeneas. We thought that these ideas were fantastic, so we prepared them to pitch in front of the mayor of Barcelona. We brought in industry from the ecosystem. We even organized a master class when the government people came, and we were discussing how possibly this could be turned into reality. Now, I have a question to you, and maybe Joseph, you can help me with the chat because I don't see the chat. If you are given an opportunity to come up with super brave new ideas during an innovation retreat, and then someone says, hey, you actually can make it happen, and you know, if you want to make it happen, you need to connect to the right people, and I'm giving you this opportunity. You can talk to these people, you can present. You know, how would you behave? What would you do? You know, would you just go there, present, and then move on with your life? Or would you somehow try to establish some kind of longer term connection? This is my question to our MBA students.
Let me focus on this, because you are telling to us very important things. First is that where we have a big challenge, we can do a really big innovation. More than that, there is not innovation, and if we don't have a challenge. And really, in the case of the chimneys of Barcelona, we had a very old energy power station already with no work, and really the idea was what to do with this big problem, the problem of a big chimneys with no activity. And you were using a network of international talent, in this case the students of the European Institute of Technology, the alumni from this network, trying to imagine. Let me tell you that, and let me take advantage of this point. You were using knowledge outside of the box, people outside, for reimagining things that we cannot imagine sometimes because we were always in the same place, in the same area. With all of that, you say, wow, we have wonderful things coming from people from abroad. They explain to me, why not to create a neutral carbon food activity or whatever. And the idea, okay, let's go to make it happen. Let's make it happen means, how can you mobilize? And the idea was, oh, we can knock the door of the mayor in order to open the mind, because at the end of the mayor is the person in charge of the management of the city as a representation of the population. With all of that, you are including a lot of things. You are including challenges, you are including network, you are in network of talent, you are including also activities related with innovation, because they were co-creating new things, and also the possibility to make a big change. Let me check if we have any question, but in any case, you can go forward, because I feel that it's interesting for understanding what can we do. We have a big idea. How can we apply this idea? Daria.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be, you know, you can have a big idea working in a large organization in public or private. And there are many good ideas, but you know, nothing happens. So can we really afford to just let those good ideas, you know, die? I think I can see two questions in the chat. I'm happy to take them now or later, as you think.
Okay.
But do we have a question?
No, not yet. You can
Not
go.
yet. Okay. So, you know, when I observed those alumni who were some of the most entrepreneurial young people in Europe, I realized that they knew God. They really knew a lot of things. They went through the lean startup training, design thinking, business model canvas. They were really smart engineers. But I realized that really they did not really know, they didn't know well how to build their networks inside their team, inside those great people, because they did not know each other when they meet for the startup days, for the hackathon. So one question was, how do I connect with the people I have, kind of opportunity to work with? But then how do I take advantage of connecting to the power networks? Because if you want to get things done, if you want to progress in your career, if you want to fundraise, if you want to develop a new projects within a company, you need to be connected to decision makers. And this is not a question of connecting, going there and introducing yourself. You need to be someone before you go and ask for endorsement, for support, for advice, for money. So my idea was, after this retreat, Joseph, that what really students need, they really need, training in strategic networking. Now, you know that I've been working on a concept of networks and systems and ecosystems and high growth companies, and then building new institutions. So it was not really networking, meaning that you go there and you exchange business cards, you go home, you go there, exchange business cards, and nothing changes in your life. No, I thought that you need to be part of a smart ecosystem. And this ecosystem is smart if many people in this ecosystem that you're connected with can do things together, can take an idea and change the reality around. I call this concept network intelligence. And this basically is a simple framework. As MBA students, I know that you have many frameworks, so you will surely understand this one. It's basically 3 axes. Number 1, there must be an alignment on a purpose. People must know what they are going to do together and what will success mean. A good example that there's a lot of talk now around the world, actually not only Europe, about missions. And one of the first big mission was to put a man on the moon. When you think a man on the moon, no one dared to do it, 60 years after. So it was a tremendous effort of many people, from researchers, technologists. Everyone worked towards one mission. We all wanted to meet the President Kennedy's vision that putting a man on the moon and getting back will do something good for America, for the world. Let's be a little bit idealistic here. In Europe, we have now 5 missions, and following this thinking, we put billions of euro to develop a cure for cancer, to develop 100 carbon neutral cities within the next 10 years, 100 cities carbon neutral within 10 years, to create solutions for plastic-free oceans, for climate change, and for clean soil and healthy food. So we also in Europe, building on that old example, thought we need to put people aligned towards a shared purpose. And this is number 1, what you should do. Look for people who want to achieve the same as you do. And look for people who do not think only in terms, what is good for me. Look for people.
But Daria, this is important because it means that you need first to know where you want to go, the vision, and also to join first, to invite people to join your vision, or to co-create the vision with others in order to share the vision, because if not, that's the challenge, no? To create this kind of shared purpose that is not just your purpose, could be a community purpose, or could be a society purpose. For instance, food, for instance, carbon footprint, or whatever, or plastics in the ocean. That it means that it must be in the shared vision of everybody that want to join this activity. That's good.
Absolutely. And this can be true when you're putting a European proposal. I've heard one MBA student saying that she's working on European proposals. The big shift here is from having an objective to get money together, and then coordinate a big project. Everyone does a little bit, things spread thinly. The big projects get done, industry gets subsidies, researchers get to do papers and get cited, but nothing really changes. There is a rupture between the public investment and private investment in knowledge, but it's impossible to bridge this gap between the vision, the knowledge, the idea, and then the reality. So what we want today in Europe is that these consortia are being built with a different logic, with a different thinking. First of all, what is the shared purpose? Who shares this purpose? And then when you look at those 2 other axes, is how do I build a strong, remote, diverse, hybrid teams? So a team is something different than a group of collaborators, okay? A group of collaborators have very little synergies. A team, I love the quote, maybe you know it as well, that never underestimate a group of committed citizens, the power of a group of committed citizens to change the world, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to think in terms of a team. I believe that everyone who is in the team today, when we're just moved to those fully digital work, there's a lot of challenges for teams. They fall apart, human connections fall apart. So it's very important that everyone keeps other team members, whether you're a student team or whether you're a project team or whether you're a consortium team, that you keep them together. And then there's the second dimension. You remember the big chart with the networks, the network ecosystem. So then you have this ecosystem and you need to understand how the system works. Who's who, which are the key communities, and how do you build those weak ties so that you are not only strongly knit within your team with high degree of trust, but then that you're also loosely connected with many different people whom you can tap on their intelligence if you need, for opportunity, for advice, for knowledge, for skills. So we came up with this concept, network intelligence, and we started to dig deeper to understand how people are actually doing networking. So when I say networking, is really building the ties, the two types of ties with the team and with those broad groups of people, anyone you can meet today in the world out there.
Daria, before to go in deep on that, you're talking about proposal. That's good. Could be in a city dimension, regional dimension, but also could be in a company dimension, the proposal for doing something, or also in an individual dimension. You are talking about teams. Teams, it's strong ties, means that people committed with means that it's a hard team. It's really people that are believing and they have a real commitment. And you are talking about ecosystem, is the kind of resources we have around us that we can use. Perhaps they are sharing the purpose, but they are not strong connected like the team. They are more wide connections or connections with more that they can help us. This is interesting because you are connecting different ways of doing, but it's not to work alone. It's to work with teams and to work with an ecosystem. That's important. I feel that it's very, very interesting because it means that one of the powers of our professional life is not what I know, it's who I know. And also, if who I know is what these people that I know, what can I do with them? Sometimes we have classmates that are wonderful people, and perhaps we are not, let me tell you, using this network for a good proposal for any proposal, more than sharing the studies and so on. And the way of commitment that we are creating when you are developing a common MBA means that inside the classroom with the same MBA, you can really know the way of doing, know the way of working, know the commitment of the people, and you are creating these strong networks that could be part of your team, not just for working, also for developing a new startup or for developing new things. I would like to emphasize that because it means that for the MBA students, we have an asset. It's our classmates, our alumni network, our MBA students from ESAN and the MBA students from La Salle, that they can connect broad networks. And you know that if you need anything in Latin America, you can use an MBA from ESAN. If you can need anything from Europe, you can use an MBA from La Salle. It means that this is the kind of assets that we can have to use. But how can we use and how can we, let's go, and just for understanding a little more this strategic networking, how can we use this network?
Yes. So we basically made when I say we, meaning at our startup project in Tata Innovation, we did a study to understand how people are utilizing their network, how frequent and how effective they declare it is. And what you see here, I find honestly very fascinating, that out of people who use networking to sell products or services, they say that they do it very often. But they also say that only 45% of them are effective. So this tells us that whether you're a small business or a business development manager in a large company, actually, people find that they build a lot of relations, that they have a lot of contacts, but they find it difficult to translate this into something very, very concrete, into financial gain. But let me also tell you the two other aspects. So one is monitor business changes and disrupt in the top left on the chart corner. And less than 20% of people say that they utilize networking frequently to do it. So in a way, imagine that you're going to a meeting, you have an opportunity to talk with people, but then you're not able to turn this opportunity to understand the trends, what is happening in the market, right? So that you can monitor business trends, that you can make a meaning, put these events, things that are still maybe below the radar screen of analysts, those insights to frame what can be the next business opportunity, what can be the next project opportunity. And even less people use networking opportunities to disrupt, but those who do, they say that they're extremely successful. But there's just, but these moments are so scarce. And let me just tell you a quick real story I know from an interview with Steve Wozniak, who was the co-founder of Apple, together with Steve Jobs. And Steve Wozniak said, the question was how Apple started. And Steve Wozniak said, hey, I was at a party and someone say, hey, you should meet Steve because he likes jokes and computers. And this is how $1 trillion opportunity started, by a pure idea on a party. So it can be extremely disruptive. But how often do you think that you position yourself, in a mindset and in a place where you can meet people who can provide you with these disruptive opportunities? This does not happen by itself. You need to think about it, plan for it, execute. And let me just finish this little piece of data. When you look at the bottom left, you have shared digital resources, shared physical resources, and shared human resources. Very few people do it, not frequently, and not effectively. Yeah. And this is absolutely mind-blowing because the network economy is about sharing. You share your knowledge and your content free of charge on LinkedIn or Twitter. You share skills. I've heard, I don't remember your name, but you founded the company to share skills. So listen, people don't know how to share. And people do not know how to take advantage of sharing. A lot of work will be done more and more on the labor platforms where people will be sharing their skills, high-level skills, routine skills. But this will be the new and very disruptive employment model. Yeah, and not to mention, very well Lyft, Airbnb, all these big companies. It's all about sharing. And it turns out that very few people know how to share, and there are different profiles. So just one point learning for you. Hey, you can use networking for many different things. Yep.
No, this is a very professional approach because we know, Daria, I have 15,000 people in my LinkedIn. The reason why, as you know, I was the president of ISP. I know people around the world, but really, the value of this network sometimes is because some people, for instance, somebody sent to me an email last week, a message, I want to be in contact with the CEO of HP, the Hewlett Packard. I know that you have a direct contact with him. And I know him, yeah. But for me, it was a natural network. For the person that was asking me, was a radical network because he could develop a new 3D printing innovation that he wanted, in this case, to develop that. This is about, in this case, we can use the network. I like the 3 points because they are very interesting. First, for selling. If we need to sell, we can sell in a digital marketplace, or we can sell in a B2B. We have to make a dialogue, and we need people that can introduce. After that, if you have a good product with good price, perhaps you will sell or not. But if you don't have the opportunity, you will not sell, never. It means the opportunity to use the network for selling. The second is about network, and this is very interesting for the MBA students. Network for working. You want to change your position. You want to be a CEO. You want to be director of marketing, or you need network, because it's not just to send your curriculum vitae to the human resources. It's to the more important positions sometimes are not in the marketplace of talent, are behind the marketplace of talent. This is very interesting, the network. And network means it's a proposal. If you don't know what job you want, it's not just to wait who will hire me. It's what position I would like to be, and the propose to use my team or my ecosystem to be in front of that. But you are using also the networking for disruptive innovation, for thinking in a different way, for using knowledge from others, for thinking and for connecting with people that are different like me, for inviting to look at my challenge, my problem, and to make a different solution. This is wonderful, Daria, because it means that we have an asset. I feel like I have a Ferrari in my garage, and I am not using my Ferrari. It means I am just using my Ferrari for doing a trip around the neighborhood. It's not, that it means that with a proposal, we will not do nothing. And this is nothing in terms, we do a lot of things, but that we can really take advantage of our assets, our knowledge, but also our network. Knowledge and network, the two key elements of any MBA, for the purpose of what we want to do. Wonderful lessons for this masterclass, Daria, because I feel that we will ask you to help our students to develop a good strategy on that. Let's go with your presentation.
Fantastic. Good. So, Joseph, you said about very interesting things. Think that someone that you were a leader, and you being at the head of the World Association of Science Parks, you are a digital leader, because this association is a digital ecosystem connected virtually by dozens, by hundreds of key hubs in different ecosystems in different cities. So when you remind my third slide about this network, so this is how this global map looks. It's all interconnected. And the digital leaders are people who are able to mobilize this network and move everyone towards certain purpose, certain shared purpose. And I'm sure, Joseph, that you had a number of ideas and initiatives that you kind of seeded, you induced into this community and said, hey, why don't we do things this way? And then you were able to lead this digital connections towards certain goal. And looking at my very different experiences in different countries in the world, by the way, I lived in 6 different countries, so I really consider myself, being a digital nomad, if you wish. And I thought, hey, some people do it better than others. So who are these people? And doing is about having a capacity to do, like reading and writing, and conceptualizing and imagining. These are all skills. This is all things that we can learn. Everyone is born with certain predisposition, but ultimately it's just a matter of effort. You can learn skills. And out of all possible skills, we have identified 7 that are key to have those leaders working in hybrid or diverse or digital teams become very influential and very capable of using these connections to create value. So what these skills are: first, it's a network strategy, meaning that you think in terms of a system, that you understand when you look at a group of people, that you just don't see a collection of people. You understand that they are somehow interconnected, and you can map it and understand which are the key people for you in this group. Can it be on LinkedIn, or can it be in your class, or can it be among your professors? Number 2 is networking. So simply expanding your network, meeting new people, expanding your ecosystem. But if you expand and do nothing, it will be useless. So it's need to engage those people. And engagement today really means virtual engagement. So it's really a skill how to keep connected with the people. But then the next skill is how to empower people in your network. And Joseph, the example that you gave, someone in your network asked you for an introduction. You could do nothing. You could say, hey, I don't know this person, or just, say, hey, I'm too busy, or just do nothing. But you decided to empower this person by saying, hey, I can do an introduction. It costs me nothing. The cause is good. Why don't I move forward and build power of this person by connecting this person to a person in power, and maybe there will be a shared purpose and they will do things together. This is really these three skills: networking, engagement, empowerment, is what makes you a powerful digital leader. Then
Daria,
digital communication.
let me talk about this point, because Pierre Núñez, one of the MBA students from ESAN, make a question. I think you need a sponsor who believes in your idea. I mean, in this kind of network, you need sometimes a key person in your network that can sponsor you in front of others. It means that how important is to take advantage of these sponsors, but nobody will support and will endorse you if they don't know you. It means you need a minimum element, and that is important because sometimes the educational institutions, the universities, we are in touch with a lot of students, and at the end of the day, when they are in front of the job opportunities, we are endorsement. We have the label. We're providing the label of ESAN, the label of LaSalle, the label of Stanford or MIT, to say, oh, this person is a key person, and I endorse this person because it's like a sponsor. Could be officially or could be personal. In your network, I don't know how you manage, or how you in your methodology you use these kind of mentors, sponsors, or people that are really helping you to bridge this from your position to your purpose.
Yes, we call them the right people, the right person, because let's say that that I'm an MBA student, and actually this is a real life example, that one of the initiatives that we started as students was a finance club. Just students who are interested in finance got together, and what we did, really at no cost, we invited every month a speaker to our school. Now it's even easier done because you just do it online, so it's super easy. But what has happened was that we also wanted one of our professors to come, and I was looking at this dynamic because very honestly, some professors had a different status in business community that we invited. Some professors were more willing to, to kind of, spend 5 minutes with us and say, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you get to that person in this way? And then even make introductions or write letters of endorsement. And this was very important to understand who should be the person who introduces you to another person. And I remember that, just maybe this is one more story of my life, that I actually, got a job as an investment director with a venture fund, with a partner who came to our finance club to talk. And I was not introduced to him by any sponsor, right? But by the pure fact that I had a pre-established connection. When I applied for a job and went for an interview, I said, hey, Neil, we actually met because you were our guest at the MBA Finance Club, some years before. And this already made me known to him, although I was a total stranger. But of course, he remembered that he was going here and there talking to students. And suddenly, we established a rapport without the sponsor. So there are two cases. Sometimes you can make yourself, introduce yourself, but I would say that you prepare the ground for doing it.
The elevator, the pitch elevator, for instance.
Yes. But also, kind of, I don't think we will have time today, but it's very smart to prepare your digital brand if you're a student, to position yourself that later, when people go on LinkedIn and check who you are, your professor will surely, before making an introduction, go and check your presence on LinkedIn. Who are you, what you're posting about, how you're posting about things, what is your purpose. So even before, saying the elevator pitch, it's good to have this ecosystem around you and be someone in this ecosystem.
In two ways, no? To prepare your curriculum, but also to know who is the person that you will talk with, him or with her,
absolutely.
Just for understanding the agenda and so on, and for connecting him. That is something very, very interesting.
Yeah. Listen,
Daria, we're in the last 10 minutes. We have time, but just for telling, we can talk during all the night together, but we have students in the sun, in Barcelona, and also in other places of the world, and perhaps they want
So maybe, Joseph, this is the end of my second part of the presentation. So why don't we leave the third part about those, tips for LinkedIn, maybe.
Let's finish the third part, and we will open some questions if we have some questions.
Okay. So really, when you're thinking about your network strategy, how to prepare your ecosystem for success, I encourage you to think in terms of this framework that we developed of a purpose network fit. So you have your network out there, and possibly you need to expand it, but the first step would be really to take advantage of people you already know, or people who can introduce you to their second connection. So always start with a question, what is my purpose? And do not make a distinction between a goal, maybe a SMART goal, maybe your sales goal or fundraising goal, and this bigger context of why you're doing things. Because this why will be the driver that will ultimately convince other people to support you or not support you. So having a clarity of purpose, and we have a whole process of really kind of defining your personal purpose and your team purpose, your community purpose, which is so important. So then it's about mapping the key communities. Do not think first in terms of whom I know. Think first, where are accumulated people who care about the same thing as I do and want to achieve a similar thing? So what are these key communities that I'm connected with? And then think in terms of 4 steps. There's a big theory about, power and your power of a digital leader in an ecosystem. So having the access to the right people, building your status versus these people, getting connected not only to the people who are trusted, but also people who get influential. And finally, getting to the right people who will make the decision yes or no. So there is this framework of a purpose network fit when you want to use your network in a strategic way.
But this is a strategy and methodology. It's method. It means that you want to arrive, you will need to know. It's like to make cheese, no? Okay, good.
Yeah. So I communicate a lot on LinkedIn, and I'm very dedicated to my network, to my community, and I try to communicate my purpose in different ways. And it is also changing. I change my profile, but I hope that every single person who's today at this masterclass, if you were to do one thing, please go to your LinkedIn profile and check a few things. These are the 3 key things to do if you finish the class. Number 1, go and look if you have a nice profile photo. I encourage you that the photo is smiling. I encourage you that the photo is professional. My photo here is a little bit artistic, but this was at a stage when I was, having a different purpose in my life. Now my photo looks a bit different. But then look at your background photo. The photo is worth 100 words. So it should clearly say who you are, what you want to do, and what is the area or of your ambition, of your action. My photo here wanted to say that, hey, I am a vocal advocate on a global scene of different agenda, and I'm eager and daring to openly talk on stage about issues that I care for. And then in the third thing you should do is to think about using the very clear bio under your name. We will not go here into the detail, but just think in terms of your core competence. So do not write everything that you want to be, but just write about what you're good at, and then write what you care about. What is this purpose of why you get up and you work hard day and night in certain cases. So this would be the three things I would like you to do. I hope there will be another session where we can go maybe in more pragmatic things, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. I think it's extremely important for strategic networking. Being active on LinkedIn is number one thing you should change in your behavior after this masterclass if you're not doing it yet. So this is my last slide. We are doing monthly live webinars just to talk about strategic networking and leadership. You're very welcome to join us. The next one is on 17th February. So I'm stopping sharing my screen, Joseph, and okay, I think we can
good. And let's open a debate. We have not a lot of time, but I just for summarize and also for making a wrap up of your lessons. First, you were starting with innovation, but innovation from the challenges, innovation from the missions, innovation in order to achieve, in this case, activities that can really make a big change in our society. You were talking about food, in this case of Europe, and so on. You were talking also about how the ecosystems of innovation are trying to solve that, but you were shifting to networking and to the networking of innovation, but more than that, the networking as an asset. And let me focus on that because I feel that for our MBA students it's a very important thing. We are doing an MBA and we think that we have to learn more and more, but we need to know more and more people, because this is the moment that we are building, and with our not only your classmates, also other people from other programs and also from alumni. And I feel that if using your methodology, Daria, I feel that if we count the number of the number of people in network of our MBA students, perhaps with 100,000, it's not because they have 10,000, 5,000, whatever, they can really share in a very easy way the network. But the challenge is not the network, it's the purpose, it's what we want to do with this network. It's about sales, it's about jobs, it's about innovation, and at the end of the day, it's about how can we use in an appropriate way, in a very honest way, in a very ethical way, but sharing this purpose. And really, it's very interesting and exciting. And also because the idea to bridge Barcelona and Lima, also with Poland, with you, but with our MBA students from ESAN, was really to increase the network of both sides, because we can provide value. By the way, we have MBA students from ESAN that they make a stage in Barcelona, and they know in ESAN in Peru that we're a partner and they can use our institution for whatever they want. It means that we are part of the network in Europe. In the same way, we have a lot of alumni in ESAN that they were in Barcelona, and we know that we have a big platform in Peru for Latin America. This is the kind of things that can really create really value. And I would like to offer you the last message that you want to share with our MBA students, the message that you want to conclude your, because we're in just the last minute. Wow, it's very fast. Good.
I just wish you luck. And I think that the first thing for strategic networking is to get to understand the people that you're working with most closely. So your colleagues, your professors, people at work, and only then expand to those global networks on LinkedIn. So the most important step for strategic networking is to have trust with the people you work with. I want to thank you very much, and I hope that you will send me the LinkedIn invite. Now, one caveat, I do not usually accept people who just send me a cold click. You need to write me a nice message explaining why would you like to connect with me, and I will be delighted to accept it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Daria, and thank you all the MBA students, the full-time MBA students, the executive MBA students, our alumni, and also the future students, and also our ESAN MBA students for sharing this session with Daria. And thank you, because I feel that we know two things. We know more about our network, and we discover that we have a network as a big asset or as a legacy of our MBA. Thank you very much, and we're in touch. We see our next masterclass. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.